A very good evening to all the participants who have joined us this Sunday evening for the workshop on bug bounty, which is conducted as a part of the Sainya Ranakshetram, the Indian Army annual cybersecurity hackathon. This annual cybersecurity hackathon is organized by the Military College of Telecommunication Engineering, Rashtriya Raksha University, and Information Sharing and Analysis Center, or ISAC. I am Shiba Shivakumar, one of the coordinators with ISAC. ISAC is a non-profit cybersecurity organization having partnerships with government bodies for cybersecurity capacity building. ISAC also conducts various cybersecurity training courses in non-technical, technical, techno-managerial, and awareness levels. These hackathons are actually battlefields where you can prove your cybersecurity skills to defend your country from cyber attacks. And as a part of this hackathon, free hands-on workshops are conducted to upskill the participants from competing. So we request all of you to attend these free workshops every week, and you can learn a lot from these workshops from your mentors. It's a free event, and one will be issued a certificate of participation once you reach the final level. It's also an opportunity to win prizes worth 15 lakhs and a national recognition to the winners. The registrations are closed last week, that was on November 10th. Now you can attend these workshops and also interact with mentors in the community forums and attend free and you can upskill yourself. Today's workshop on bug bounty will be conducted by Ms. Shifa and Mr. Rohit Gautam. Shifa is a web and mobile application developer with a keen interest in web application security and network exploitation. She is also a National Security Database Certified Bug Bounty Researcher. Rohit is an avid security researcher with special interest in network exploitation and web application security analysis. He is also a National Cybersecurity Certified Bug Bounty Researcher. Now I hand over to Rohit for the session. Thank you. Over to you, Rohit.
Thank you so much,
Rohit,
Shiva ma'am, for that warm introduction and insights for this Senior Ranakshetram Hackathon. So I welcome all of you for today's Bug Bounty workshop. I hope all of you are doing great. So I'm just going to share my screen and then we are going to quickly begin. Okay, so the series that is going on for Bug Bounty workshops, we have discussed so far multiple vulnerabilities that you can learn, you can practice it in the wild and identify multiple flaws on targeted web applications. The principles that you are learning throughout will be helpful in the hackathon as well for your round 1, round 2 and round 3, as well as you can apply this in your real life to maybe identify bugs on different bug bounty programs, as well as in your organization if you're doing pen testing or any kind of freelancing projects for web application pen testing. So today we are going to discuss about one of the vulnerability, which is CSRF, which stands for cross-site request forgery. Now this is one of the very interesting vulnerability that can create a lot of impact on any program if it is vulnerable with CSRF. So what exactly happens into this? Let's quickly understand that. So the principle of this attack is that the attacker is going to send a link or a HTML page to a victim. Once the victim clicks on it or interacts with it, his profile data gets changed or there will be a sensitive action that will occur. Now, CSRF generally are considered to be medium vulnerability according to its CVSS score or according to Bugcrowd VRT. But it can be escalated to a high, critical and a P1, which is priority 1 bug, if you are able to do an extremely sensitive action on any web application or any other website. For example, if you're able to change someone's email ID and password using CSRF, then yes, you're able to perform an account takeover. You basically lock out the user from doing any action onto the application because you would have changed his email ID and password, and now the user or the victim cannot do anything. This way, you are in full control of the user's account. Similarly, you can also, with the help of CSRF, do an unauthorized transaction from the victim's account if we assume that bank.com is vulnerable to CSRF attack. And similarly, there would be a lot of sensitive actions that you can perform accordingly based on how the web application functionalities are. So let us quickly jump on to this figure and understand. So here is the diagram which I have created to explain CSRF, wherein on your left hand side you can see this is your client. Onto the right hand side you can see this is the server. In the center you can see here is the attacker. So CSRF attack starts from the attacker, which is this. Now we are going to assume over here, let's say the client is Shifa, the server is bank.com, okay, and the attacker is me, that is Rohit. So how does the attack starts? So the attacker, which is me, Rohit, is going to send a link to the client, that is Shifa. That link is going to be a post request with an email address and a password. So basically, once the client, that is Shifa, receives that link from the attacker, which is a post request to change the email address and password, when she clicks on it, victim clicks on the link, it has been sent to the server. The server takes that request and performs an action on it, that is, accept the new credentials. Once the server accepts the new credentials, the attacker now has already knew the new credentials, that is email address and password, is now able to log in into client's account, that is Shifa's account, and can do any sensitive action that he wants. So this is basically how a CSRF attack works. Now we need to keep in mind two things. If these two criteria are fulfilled, then and only then we can confirm that CSRF attack can be possible. The first is the client, that is Shifa. She should be logged in into her bank.com account. And this is pretty obvious. If we, the attacker, or let's say me being the attacker, I want to change her username and password, then obviously she should be logged in into her account. There should be a session which should have been maintained with the bank.com. So first is the point which is required, that any user should be logged in. The second is the victim should click or interact with the link. Obviously, if the client, that is Shifa, if she does not click on that link itself which has been sent, then the attack will not proceed further and it will not happen. So these are the two things that you need to keep in mind. If you go apply for any job, or maybe any interviewer, he tries to ask you regarding CSRF, you should be able to explain this, the principle, as well as these two criteria. We have seen that this has been asked multiple times in interviews by interviewers, that what are the two criteria that needs to be fulfilled if you want to test for CSRF based attacks. So today we're going to see some test cases. Also, I'm going to show you a practical in which you will understand how you can perform CSRF attack on a web application, how you can identify if the web application is vulnerable to CSRF, what is the mitigation of CSRF, and some special tips and techniques that you can use to perform CSRF on web applications which may not be mitigating the web application correctly. So how to test for CSRF? You should have two accounts to test CSRF. If anyone says you that you can test CSRF with only one account, then it is an incorrect methodology to test for CSRF based issues. Why? Because if I only test within one account, that is attacker's account, at that time, if there is no client, then obviously my request is going to work. If I'm going to make a CSRF link and I'm going to send it to myself, then obviously it is going to work. Hence, there are two people who are involved into this. So for proving CSRF flaws, we need two accounts. One is the attacker, second one is the client. And this way we test it. Let's quickly jump on to the practical and let's see how we are going to do this. So over here, I'm going to come onto this target CSRF. I'm going to start a lab. We have created a lab. So I'm going to show you on this lab. I'm going to register an account quickly. So let's say my account is goodboy@gmail.com. Okay. And my password is going to be ABC. And I'm going to register for it. Okay. I'm going to put my name as Goodboy. Let's consider this Goodboy as victim. And we are going to make one more account, which is Bad Boy, which is going to be the attacker. Okay. So good boy. Email is goodboy@gmail.com. Password ABC. Confirm password ABC. Let's hit register. Okay. The user has been created. Let's verify if the user is created. ABC. Let's hit login. Welcome, Goodboy. Perfect. We have created an account right now. Let's create one more account. As I initially mentioned, we need 2 accounts for this to work. Okay. So I'm going to log in quickly. I'm going to again click on register. This time, Bad Boy. This is the attacker. badboy@gmail.com. Password ABC. ABC. And I'm going to register. Okay. The user has been registered. Now, let's log in Bad Boy over here. This is the attacker. Welcome dashboard Bad Boy. And let's assume this. Let's open a new incognito window or a private window. Okay. And here we will try to open the victim's account, okay, or the user's account. Okay. So just a moment. Let me log in. Okay, so let us quickly log in over here. Goodbye, ABC. Okay, so you guys can see now we have created a scenario in which there are 2 users currently. On the left hand side is the attacker, that is bad, and on the right hand side is the good boy, which is the victim. Okay, we have not done anything sensitive or fancy so far. We have only created 2 accounts, that is an attacker's account and a victim's account. Let's go back over here. Let's understand this quickly once more so that you can correlate while doing the practical. Here we can see an attacker. Here we can see a client and the server. So the attack starts from the attacker. Okay. So the attacker is going to send a link with new email ID and password or any such sensitive action to the victim. Okay. So now the attacker is going to send a link. So we need to create that. So I'm going to configure my burp suite. So I'll go in my burp, intercept on. I'll click on change password. Okay, so you can see there's a request of change password. Let's check this. Yeah, so here's the request. So I'm going to change the password to ROHIT. The attacker is changing his password currently. ROHIT. Okay, I'll capture this request. Can you guys see? The new password is Rohit. Okay, the attacker is currently changing the password and attacker has captured the request. Now I will right click, send this request to a repeater because I need to use it later on. This is the request that I have received. Okay, this the attacker. So attacker onto his computer now is going to create an CSRF link that he needs to send to the victim. So I can right click, click on engagement tools and click on generate CSRF POC. But as we are onto the community edition, that is the free version of burp suite, this feature is not available. It is only available in the pro version. But no need to worry. We have an alternate solution to this. You can simply go to hacktify.in/CSRF, and we have created a free CSRF POC generator for you. For that, simply copy your whole request, paste your request over here into the request block, go below, choose the target if it is running on HTTP or HTTPS. You can verify that from here. The target is running HTTPS. So I'll select HTTPS and click on generate POC form. Can you see the form has been successfully created? You can copy this or you can save it as HTML. So I'm going to save this right now. This is my form which has been successfully saved. Let's get back to the diagram. Attacker has successfully created a link with password change, and the new password is Rohit. The attacker is going to send that particular link that attacker has created to the victim to update his password now. Okay. Before, the client password was ABC, attacker password was ABC. Attacker has created a post request with the password ROHIT, Rohit, and the attacker is going to send it to the client. Okay. This is the link or the POC that has been successfully created. Okay. This is it. Okay. So now let's get back. Let's minimize this. Let's get back to the attacker window. Let's go in burp suite first. And let's drop this request because I do not want to update the password of attacker. Okay. All right. So now the attacker's work is completed. Attacker's work is done. Attacker has successfully captured a request to change password, and attacker is going to send it to the victim. So now let's assume this is victim. He's sitting on his computer at his home, nicely enjoying his browsing onto his computer. He receives a link into his email. He clicks on that link. Let's assume this is the link that he received. He submits. When he interacts with that link, he need to interact with that link. That is the second criteria. The first criteria, is it fulfilled? Is victim logged in? Yes, victim is logged in currently. We can see over here. Welcome to dashboard, good boy. He is logged in currently. First criteria fulfilled. He should also interact. So let's interact with it. Okay. Did you see what happened when the victim interacted with the link that was sent by the attacker? Some message appeared over here. Okay. Let us try to see what happened. Now the victim, for some reasons, clicked on that link. Now the attacker knows the victim's email address. Okay. So now the attacker is going to log in into the victim's account. So the victim's account was goodboy@gmail.com. Not here. Let's open that lab quickly. This is the lab. Start lab. Okay, so the victim's account was goodbye@gmail.com. And what was the victim's password, guys? ABC. But the attacker changed the password, right? So now the attacker is going to use the password ROHIT and hit on login. And can you see? The password for victim has been successfully modified and changed. Okay. This is CSRF attack. Okay. The victim's password has been successfully changed, and now the attacker knows the victim's password. Okay. So what exactly happened over here? Let's understand again with the help of figure. Attacker created a password change request, sent it to the client. The client was logged in. This is the first condition. And the client or the victim also clicked on that specific link. Because of that, the server accepted whatever request was being sent, and this way attacker was able to log in into the victim's or the client's account. This attack is known as cross-site request forgery attack. I hope this is clear with everyone. Please acknowledge me in the chat box. Everyone is clear? This was super simple. Yes. Awesome. That's great. Great. Okay. So testing CSRF vulnerability, you need to make 2 accounts. You already know this. And the steps are also written over here, which is exactly the same steps that you have seen right now. Okay. Burp Suite Professional Edition alternative, I have shown you guys. You can use hacktify.in/CSRF. Now you may ask, what are the other things that we can do with the help of CSRF? So I'm going to show you one of the POC that you can do with the help of CSRF. Just a moment. Okay. Okay. So here we can see with the help of CSRF, we can delete account and we can also do an account takeover. We just saw that we are able to change the password of the victim. Let us also see a POC. So this is one of the finding that we identified in one of the bug bounty program, wherein this has been patched obviously now, wherein we were able to do a sensitive action that is delete account. Okay. So let us see the steps. So here the attacker on his window, this is attacker's window. Attacker clicks on, are you sure you want to delete your account? Yes. Now guys, remember, this is based on each web application functionality. Okay. There may be a case that delete account functionality is not present on the application that you are testing. So always keep in mind that whenever you want to test for CSRF based attack, try to increase the severity by choosing the right functionality of your web application. I would also suggest all of you the tip for CSRF is you can try to update the phone number, which is try to add your phone number to the victim's account. This way you will receive the OTPs or two-factor authentication codes as well, through which you can try to reset the password or maybe log in into the victim's account. Okay. And this will help you increase the overall severity of the vulnerability. Okay, let's resume this. Now, the attacker is able to capture the request to delete the account, and as this is a pro version, he is able to generate the CSRF POC. So this is a CSRF POC. I'll copy from here. I'll drop this request because I do not want to delete my account. I'll save this request into Notepad++ or Sublime, your favorite editor. Paste it over there and save it with a name. So I've successfully saved it over here. Now we need to go onto the victim's window. Okay. So let's try to open up a victim's window where the victim is logged in. And you guys can see over here, this is the victim. First name ABC, last name ABC, which has been logged in onto the incognito window. As you can see over here, this is a private window where the victim is logged in. All right. So the victim receives a link through which the victim tries to interact with it. So the victim has interacted with that link and something happened. The victim's account got deleted. Can you see? This account has been disabled. Please allow 72 hours for all your data related to your account to be deleted. Okay. And this way, the victim's account was successfully deleted from that web application. Okay. This is a sensitive action. Now, based on the application of how it has been created or developed, sensitive action could be, as I have already discussed, deleting the account. Second would be adding your phone number. Third would be changing email ID and password. And fourth would be doing an unauthorized transaction or anything like that which contains a sensitive action. This way, you are increasing the overall severity of your bug. And you know, when you increase the overall severity of the bug, that way, you're increasing the reward of your bug as well. Okay. So definitely try this on vulnerable application. You can test this on DVWA and test PHP as well. So once you try it over there, you will be able to understand it better. And then you can try it on other bug bounty programs. Also, you can apply this into your hackathon. Okay. So what are the CSRF mitigations, you may ask, or how to fix this vulnerability? The server should always check if the request is coming from a legitimate source or no. The server should not basically accept any request that is coming from the victim. So how the server is going to validate if the request is coming from the victim or the request is coming from attacker via victim? For that, the server can add tokens to each request. That would basically be, each request would contain a token called as XSRF, NT-CSRF, CSRF, or any name. Rohit token is also fine. Until and unless the web application is properly validating the token value. The server should check if the request that is being sent, if the request that is being sent to the server is valid or no based on the specific token value. If the request does not contain the token, then the server should not take sensitive action on it. Okay, if the server takes a sensitive action on any request that it be sent by the attacker, then the CSRF protection will not be complete or valid. Okay, so I hope you guys understood this. The token is very important for each request, and that request that is being sent to the server should always be validated by a token. Now you should always remember some CSRF tricks. This will be helpful for you. Any request that we are sending to the server, you should always try to change the request method, that is from get to post and vice versa. We have seen that. I'll show you over here as well. This is a post request that has been going to change the password, as we saw over here. We can right click and we can go and click on change request method. That will change the request method to get. We have seen this, that many developers on different web applications use get to submit post requests as well, or to submit data into the database as well. A lot of applications work this way, which are basically working in a fashion which is generally not correct. So what we can do is modify the post method to get method and send the request. In that case, let's assume if there was an CSRF token like this into this request for validating this particular request, that it is not coming from attacker, it would have been bypassed, or the server would not have checked the token. Okay, this trick is very useful, and we have identified this into wild on many programs. So the first thing that you need to always see is change the request method. If it is post, make it to get, or if it is get, try post. Second is remove the tokens. Sometimes removing the token parameter from the POC can give you a valid CSRF. What does this mean? Just remove this token and try to make a CSRF POC and try to send. The server sometimes, if not properly configured, would not validate the token that has been given and will allow you to do a CSRF attack. The next step is some web applications, some web applications have CSRF tokens as static. I have seen this literally in a lot of applications, that developer hard code this CSRF token. Okay, so let's assume 82008880XXX. Let's assume this is my phone number and this is my username. So what the developer does is, for each user, they hard code a CSRF token, which is maybe their user ID underscore a prefix or a suffix. This is a static token, which means it never changes for a specific user. This is not the correct way to mitigate CSRF vulnerability. Why? Because these headers or these cookies can be someone can steal it. It can be stolen by some other means, by chaining the vulnerability maybe to XSS or some other vulnerability. So if the attacker is able to guess the token, or maybe get the token by any other means, then CSRF protection will basically will not work. Okay, it will have no value of adding the CSRF token, because the token that has been supplied is a static token. Okay, and this way, if the attacker gets your token, then the CSRF protection is not valid anymore. So always try to see, when you log in into any application, you should always see, do you get the same token every time? Okay, log in once, log out, then again try to log in and check if there is the same token if the server is creating. If the server is creating the same token, then it is a flaw. That should not be the case. Next, some web applications check for CSRF token based on entropy length. This is interesting. Keep the same entropy length and you win. By this I mean that the tokens that are being generated are guessable tokens, which means if I keep the same entropy, then I can basically, if the application is keeping the same entropy, which is very much guessable, then I can guess a token for a victim. For example, let's assume if the web application makes a token, which is something like this, phone number of the user underscore use, the name of the user underscore date of birth. So let's say 26. Okay, the day of the date of birth. Okay, this is a very simple token which can easily be guessed by anyone, right? So the attacker can now create a CSRF POC with the same entropy length of that specific token. So this is a guessable token. The entropy length is also fixed. I know the token length is always going to remain the same because it is going to follow a specific pattern, which is phone number, username, and day of the date of birth. Through this way, I can guess anyone's CSRF token with some information gathering or initial recon. Based on that, I can send this to the CSRF POC to any victim, and then I can successfully perform the CSRF attack. The last one is really interesting. In some web applications, we have seen that interchanging tokens of two users logged in into the same web application at the same time works. What does this mean? This means that the server is creating CSRF token, and that CSRF token that has been created is a random token, which is created every time for any number of users. But the tokens that are being generated are not validated that the tokens are mapped with which particular user. So let me give you an example. Let's assume there are two users, Rohit, and the second user is Rahul. They both log in into the web application from two windows at the same time. The server creates a CSRF token for both the users. The server is expecting the same token when any request has been sent by Rohit or Rahul. Now in that case, the server validates the token but does not validate which token was given to which user. It randomly generated token and it is trying to match the token in the backend. That is the token same, which means if both the users token are being interchanged or switch, then there could be a potential CSRF. So now how will you approach or test this vulnerability? Create two users on any web application. Once you create two users on any web application, interchange the token of each user, that is user 1 and user 2, and try to send the request. If you see the user request has been sent successfully and the web application is giving you 200 OK, or the sensitive action that you tried to perform was successful with the token of another user, then you can confirm that the application is not properly validating the particular CSRF token. And yes, you may try to now identify a CSRF issue onto this web application as well. I hope these tricks are clear with everyone. Definitely try to use it into your bug bounty methodology whenever you're going to identify issues. This have helped a lot for identifying potential CSRF bugs on different bug bounty programs, as well as whenever you're testing, try to check that with the help of, in case the web application or the server is trying to put some kind of mitigation, use this 4 to 5 points so that you can try to bypass that simple mitigation that have been implemented. So you may ask, then what is the fix to this issue? Or what is the confirmed or the best mitigation that one can implement? The best mitigation would be creating rolling tokens or random token or dynamic token to protect from CSRF. The web application should send a unique random token on each request that has been sent by the user. For example, I log in the application. So let's go back to our lab over here. So once I log in into the web application here, and even when I hit refresh, there should be a new token that should be loaded for me. Okay, this is known as random token, rolling tokens, or nonce. Okay, that is the best mitigation for CSRF attack. I hope everyone understood. Now, where can you hunt for CSRF based attacks? To hunt for CSRF based attack, you should always look for pages where sensitive data such as email ID, password, username can be changed. This way, you can modify any users or victims' sensitive account details or profile details. Now, this way, you're increasing the severity, right? You're able to modify someone's email ID and password. Now they are not able to access their account anymore. You logged temporarily them from their own account. You're able to access their account and do multiple actions. So this way you're increasing the overall severity. So it will go into a critical or a high vulnerability. Next is, you always need to remember CSRF on login and logout is not sensitive and is considered out of scope of bug bounty programs. What do I mean by this? Let's assume I logged in into a web application. Let's assume this is a bank.com. Can you see a logout button over here? Let me just move this over here. Logout button. So you capture a request for logout. You make a CSR POC for this logout. You send it to a victim. Victim clicks on it and he gets logged out of the application. This is not a valid CSRF, although it is a valid CSRF, but there is no security impact of it. If you make a user log out from his account, he can log in back. There's no issue and he won't click on your link again. So there is no security impact that has been created over here. So for majority of the bug bounty programs, login, logout CSRF are considered to be out of scope. So you also make sure that you do not test a logout CSRF. Instead, try to increase the overall impact of the bug if you identify CSRF anywhere by doing a sensitive action. I already show you in one of the POC that how we can delete an account. So try to see if you can delete an account, or you can update the name, maybe update the email address and password, or else you can add your phone number to someone's account. If you're able to do that, you can request for OTPs or maybe bypass multi-factor authentication. And this way you can do a complete compromise of that account. And if you're able to do such a sensitive action to a certain extent, then yes, you have increased the severity to a critical bug, which will definitely help you increase the reward of your bug, which will definitely help at the end to assess the overall severity for the issue that has been identified in the web application. Okay, so this is it for CSRF. I hope everyone understood. Let's take up questions now. Let's try to see if you have any questions. There's a question by Aki. While testing, you are interchanging tokens. So you act as both attacker and victim because the point is to prove interchanging the token work. Absolutely correct. On my left-hand window, I'm the attacker. And over here, on my right window, I'm a victim. So we are basically trying to mimic in real world or real time how this would work. Okay. So make sure that both are different windows. The session is not same. Try to see if you can see over here. This is an incognito window or a private window. So the sessions do not create some issue. Okay. So here is the attacker. Here is the victim. Both will log in onto the web application. After both have logged in, try to interchange their tokens and see if the attacker is able to still perform an action with the victim's token or anyone's token, second user's token. And if that works, then yeah, the CSRF protection that has been added onto the web application is of no use. And the attacker can successfully do a CSRF attack onto the targeted application. Can you give a real example of guessing a CSRF token? Yes, absolutely. So there was one of an application that I was testing for. I'm not able to recall exactly. It was an e-commerce application on which the CSRF token that was generated, was basically the user ID and date of birth. and there was a prefix and a suffix. I'm not able to recall exactly, but there was a prefix or a suffix that was added with that specific token. So what I could do is I could basically guess uh, that this particular user will have this user ID, email ID, and I could add that suffix or prefix that was the name of the application, and then uh, I could basically send a CSRF POC to the victim. You always have to make sure that until and unless the web application is using a random token, any protection that the developer is trying to put will turn out to be useless at a certain point of time. But because if you try to put more extra time and effort, we can bypass the CSRF token if it is not dynamic tokens. Okay, so I hope you guys understood this. Okay, can you share this whole PPT of the Notion link with us? Yes, definitely I can share this. This will be shared once the screen, this session has been recorded and is uploaded to YouTube. You can find it on ISAC India channel. The Notion link will be pasted into the description. From there, you can take it. Okay, is deleting a victim account is really valid because the user can re-log in and stop deleting account process, as generally there is a fixed time period after which our account has been completely deleted. So Gokul, the main point that we are trying to create over here is that we are able to perform a sensitive action on behalf of a user. Now, the functionality does not matter. It was one of the examples that I tried to show over here. I would definitely on application try to create the most impact that is made to an unauthorized transaction. So it depends upon you and also the application as well of what kind of sensitive action we are trying to make. As one of the example was delete account, which if the application does not validate or does not give a cooling period for a user, as you have suggested, for let's say 6 hours, 12 hour, 24 hours, then the account would automatically be deleted. There's also an inconvenience for the user because he wants to use the application. Okay. So this was one of the example. Now again, it would be based on the functionality of the web application. And I will always suggest to try for the utmost impact that you can create on the application with the highest sensitive action that you can go for. I just discovered the server name and version for bugbountyhunter.org. How do I report vulnerabilities for your website? Should I write a mail? So this is an intentionally vulnerable platform that has been created for current internship that has been going on. Okay, so this was an register only kind of internship, invite based. So you cannot access this, others cannot access it, but definitely you can access it at a later point of time when the internships again reopen. Now server banner disclosure is not a vulnerability. It may be considered as a low or informational bug until and unless you are able to create impact. So always remember, everyone, this is a tip that I want to give to every one of you. Bug bounties is all about creating impact. If you're not able to create an impact for any issue or any vulnerability, then don't report that bug. Now you may ask, what is the impact? Impact generally can be considered in two ways. The first is the user impact, and second is the organization or business impact. If the bug that you have identified impacts the user in some or the another way, let's say the user is not able to access the application, the CIA triad basically should fit in over there. Or if there is an PII info disclosure for the user, you're able to do an account takeover. You have created a user impact. Or else, think about the organization's impact. If you're able to maybe create a remote code execution on the server, or maybe exploit a business logic issue that creates direct impact on the business or the organization. So always try to think that whenever you identify a bug, what is the impact that you're creating? This in general will help you everywhere whenever you're going to report any bug. Always make sure that you write this in as simple as language into your report. I would definitely suggest everyone, because bug bounties is all about 50% knowing technical skills and 50% writing good, excellent reports. If you have identified a good vulnerability, but you're not able to express that vulnerability into your report, the triage team will basically will take much more longer time to replicate that bug. Or maybe if they are looking in another manner your report or through a different angle, they may also do a NA for your bug. So always make sure that you are very much pretty verbose in writing a report and simple, and try to explain the overall impact of the bug with the help of scenarios. Okay. For example, if you're reporting a bug to Apple considers your bug very, very seriously. They pay minimum $5,000 for any low issue that has been identified as well. Now, when you identify a bug like CSRF for Apple infrastructure, when you report it, the triger basically validates your bug. Who is a technical person, but he does not validate your bug for whatever amount you're going to get. Then the report is forwarded to the next department. They try to assess your bug on certain parameters that they have, which definitely considers two things, that is client or the customer's impact and business impact. So always make sure that you are very much verbose in your report and try to show the scenarios that could possibly go wrong with your bug. Okay. I'm really sorry for talking about this a little bit more, but this is very important. And I see a lot of people not able to prove in point of creating impact into a report, which is very important for bug bounty hunters. Okay. So always make sure your report should create a strong security impact from both the sides, that is customer and business. All right. Let us see next questions quickly before we run out of time. Victim always have to press any button after clicking on the attacker CSRF link. Yes, the victim has to interact with it. You're correct. What is RMRF tokens? So there are different labs over here in which if we try to remove the token, so there is a token validation that is going on onto one of the lab. To solve that specific lab, we have to remove the token and we will be able to bypass that. This is remove forcefully token, which is one of the hard lab. Okay. As we have a strong time constraint right now, I'm unable to show you all the labs. Definitely, if you're a part of Actify's internship platform, you can solve that. Okay. Or else this will be made public after some time, wherein you can solve all the labs. Okay. Let's see more questions. I'll stop sharing for now. When will we get this recording on YouTube? The recording will be uploaded soon by the team. The name of the YouTube channel is ISAC India. You can search for that, and there you could get all the recordings, and also the notes will be pasted into the description. Let's take up a last question. Sir, how to write a good report? Any specific format for it? Yes. Writing reports are very, very important, and you should know how to write a good bug bounty report. So with this, I would also like to share once more my screen because someone has asked a very good question. So to make your process much more easier and simpler for all of you, we want you to spend most of your time in identifying flaws and identifying vulnerabilities and less time in writing reports from scratch. So what we have done is you can go to this endpoint, that is hacktify.in/bug bounty. And over here, you can see what bug you want to report. So we have created report templates, demo templates for you, which you can pick, change the target from example.com and report it to the target organization. So let's see an XSS report. Let's assume you identified an XSS. Oh, okay. Let's see CSRF. Let's click on CSRF because that is what we have learned today. As you can see, CSRF, you can just go down and click on copy. This will copy the report for you. Go into your favorite editor. If you're using Sublime, Cherry Tree, Notion, Microsoft Word, etc. Paste it over there. Replace the IP address. Here I have added india.gov.in. You can replace that with your target. And add your POC. The POC could be a screenshot or a video. And you can send this to your target. Okay. So a good bug bounty report contains a description, which is basically also known as summary. The overall severity of the bug, the post request, you can paste it over here. Complexity of doing this bug is easy. This is done from a remote external source. The most important thing is steps to reproduce the bug. What is the impact of this bug? What is the affected IP address or the target? What is the recommendation to fix this bug? and what are some references where they, if they want, they can read about it. And the last is very important, the POC. This is basically the screenshot or snapshots of your findings. Okay, so this is an basic report. Feel free to use it. In case you want to modify it as well, you can modify it. We created this for the community, so community can benefit from this basically, so that you invest more time in identifying bugs and not writing reports from scratch. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's take one more question. Can we find bugs on website which is not on bug bounty program? So the simple answer is no. We highly motivate and recommend everyone to identify flaws on bug bounty programs only. Why? You may ask. Because those programs who do not have a security program or a responsible vulnerability disclosure program, they're not ready for the security testing that you're going to perform on their targets. So if you're doing something, it may potentially break something out there, which may bring some kind of downtime to that organization. So it's highly recommended that you do not test those websites that do not have a bug bounty or responsible disclosure program. But in case you come across any website and unintentionally you identify an issue, in that case, you can report that flaw on Open Bug Bounty. You can just simply go to openbugbounty.org, which accepts all the vulnerabilities that you identify in the wild out there on internet. But there is also a criteria that it only accepts 5 class of vulnerabilities. You can go there and have a look. Can we test Indian government websites? The answer is yes. You can test all the Indian government websites and you can report it to NCIIPC, National Critical IT Infrastructure Protection Center, which is a unit of NTRO. You can identify flaws on Indian government website, report it, and get acknowledged for it. Okay, so someone is continuously asking what we do have to do in tomorrow's level 1. Okay, so level 1 is MCQ based challenges. So for all 3 streams, you need to solve MCQs. There would be 100 MCQs for each stream that will be opened up for you. You have to solve those MCQs, and based on that, you will be getting your results, and then you will move forward. Okay. ID and password. So everyone will be receiving emails to get access to the hackathon platform very soon. Most probably by today night or tomorrow morning, everyone should receive emails to get access to the platform with their username and password. All right, so we'll stop over here. Thank you so much for joining. Shiba ma'am, if you would like to close this session.
Thank you, Rohit. Thank you. That was an amazing session again. And I hope all of them join again for the next week Sunday program and Sunday workshop. Thank you, everyone, for joining. You may sign out. Thank you.
Yes, thank you everyone once again for joining. We also have a course known as National Certified Bug Bounty Researcher Program. If any one of you are interested, you can have a look on ISAC.org website. If you're more interested in bug bounties, okay, it's a certification and training program. It is optional if in case you are more inclined towards bug bounties and if you want to explore more into this for your career perspective or other professional reasons, definitely have a look at it. Thank you everyone for joining and your amazing participation. Thank you, Shiba ma'am, as well. All right, so we are ending this session. Thank you everyone. All the best for the hackathon. I wish all of you go ahead for the second round, and yeah, you do great. So thank you once again everyone for joining. Best of luck once again for the hackathon to everyone. Stay safe and take care.